Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 19th of February, a Wednesday, and it's time for another episode of the Weekly Rez. So, episode 2, the second episode. Third, if you count the missing pilot. We're good. Okay, bit of auto adjust. So, first things first, got to apologise in advance. I've had a really crappy week, and so I didn't get the episode 1 to YouTube. However, I've freed up a little bit of my schedule, so this Friday or Saturday I'll be putting both episode 1 and episode 2 up on YouTube, separated out into designated bits. So we'll have our news thing at the start, and then I'll separate out the episodes accordingly. Speaking of which, news time. So the big news for this kind of week is that we've had the spoilers for Fear and Loathing. That's come out, and they cards look awesome. A little bit of disagreement in some places, but in my general opinion. And we've also had the spoilers, the Jinteki ID spoilers for the Honor and Profit ones, which I'm really excited about. So I just want to touch on a few of those. And by a few, I mean all. So we do this. And now we have... Oh, let's turn my mic down a bit in case I'm really loud. So let's go. Let's just have a quick look at these. So the first one that we've got is... it looks really weird on that side, doesn't it, if I'm looking over there. So you know what? Last minute. We'll change it. Done. Okay, so Vulcan cover up. When you score Vulcan cover up, you do 2 meat damage, and when the runner steals it, you gain 1 bad publicity. Really nice if you're playing. Oh my lord, what is going on with that? Really nice if you're playing. Meat damage styley. Do that. Click OK. Yeah, good. Really good if you're playing Wayland, or you're doing Jinteki, Scorched Earth and bits and pieces like that. It means that even with the Placer piece, you can, if you've got a Vulcan cover up on there, Scorched Earth, 2 of them will rip through anything. Then we've got Strongbox. Each time the runner accesses an agenda from the server, he or she must spend 1 click as an additional cost in order to steal it. This applies even during the run in which the runner trashes Strongbox. Again, I think that's it's HB's red herrings, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think in generally speaking, being HB's red herrings, yeah, it's good, and especially if you're going to have being HB ice in front of that, which means they're going to lose clicks as they go through, so they think they can pay it. You res the upgrade, they can't score it. 1 cost trash is a bit rubbish, means that they're going to get rid of it instantly, but same as herrings, nothing you can do about that. Quest completed. Now, I really like this card, but I feel like I can't like this card because I don't like notoriety. This is the Shaper. This is the Anarch equivalent of the Shaper Notoriety. However, it's a bit better suited because Notoriety, you're only ever going to score 1 agenda point. At least with Quest Complete, you've got that chance that you could get a 2 or 3 point agenda, or you're going to be able to trash a card that's very valuable to them. Will it get much play? In fun decks, maybe. I want to build a deck really with it, but I'm really annoyed that it doesn't have this little influence cost. Where's that influence cost? Frustrating. Okay, Hemorrhage. Whenever you make a successful run, place 1 virus counter on Hemorrhage. Then for a click and 2 hosted virus counters, the corp trashes 1 card from HQ. It's okay. It's alright. It'd be quite nice in a mill deck, with noise, or if you're running Keyhole and you instead of running on R&D, you can't get to it for whatever reason, trash them off. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It'll probably get a little bit of play in some mill decks, mostly noise. Alpha and Omega. So both pieces of ice. Alpha will break you can only break the outermost piece of ice protecting a server, and Omega you can only break the innermost piece. Now, Alpha's probably going to get a lot of play with Kip, who turns everything into a code gate anyway. Or rather Omega. Omega would get more, wouldn't it? Because she can break the first as code gate, and then Omega is anything else. I'll get my loopy-loops the right way around. They're fine. It's seven costs. You know, it's the same cost as like Garrot in a criminal deck. I don't think they're great icebreakers, especially when you get a three row server out, 3 row of ice out, but it rarely happens, I think. So it could be useful. Cyber Solution membership, pretty self-explanatory, +2 memory, semi-useful, I think. Semi-useful in some things, nothing special. Blue level clearance. Now I can't decide if this is better than green level clearance that exists, because you gain 5 credits and draw 2 cards for a cost of 2, but it does cost you 2 clicks. And using green level twice, you know, does it balance it out? Yeah. The fact that, I don't know. I like it though. I will probably have it in a deck at some point in the future. Market research. If the runner is tagged when you score market research, place 1 agenda counter on it. Market research is worth 1 additional agenda point while it has an agenda counter on it. Now that's a nice card, because as MBN you tend to do a lot of tagging, and this is just perfect for that time where you can play a SEA source and finalise your score on market research, Bosch, or even with use if you manage to somehow score breaking news on the same turn, and back that up, or you know, play the long game, get them with a bunch of tags, and then score market research. Because as soon as you score that market research and you get that 3rd agenda point off, but guaranteed they're going to be doing everything they can to get rid of those tags. So it's a good deterrent. Wraparound. Now I really like Wraparound. I do. I really like it. Apart from if there is no installed Fractor, it has +7 strength. Because Corroder is a Fractor, and the majority of people have Corroder out to break barriers. But for those decks where they're relying on Crypsis or Atmen, things like that, this is really nice. This is a really nice card. This will probably go in my deck. Not over Paper Walls, maybe over Ice Walls. I'm not certain. It may replace a few Paper Walls for me just because of that extra strength, but at cost 2, I don't think I could lose a Paper Wall for this, as it were. Then we have oh my lord, I can't even word it. Something Wiretap. So it's a double, and you get to reveal all cards in HQ. It's alright. There's the card that does it already that allows you to run on HQ and look at all the hands. Criminal card, 1 influence, costs 1 as well. And I can't remember the name of it, embarrassingly, so that's good. So we're going to move swiftly on. I think that card's all right. Jinteki. So the first one we've got is Saving Face. Trash one who installed sysops, executives or clones. If you do, remove up to 2 bad publicity. Quite nice, especially with the blackmail card that's going to be coming out soon, which effectively allows you to run on the server and the court cannot raise any ice until you actually get through. Cannot raise any ice that turn, rather, which is a crazy card for one credit. So as an operation, if you think that's coming up, that's a good one to play. And Yagura, I really like. Look at the top card of R&D. You may put that card to the bottom of R&D and do 1 net damage. That in front of your R&D is really good. Okay, a lot of people will immediately say, well, Yog's out. Yog will destroy this. But yeah, if you can get them to get Yog out, you've won, really. Because they've had to spend 5 credits to get Yog out. That's a big deal. Okay? Just don't have any other strength 0 code gates in there. The majority of code gates that are coming out at the minute are around strength 4. You can get some really nice ones around that kind of strength. So if you do use code gates, yeah, I personally would just use this as my only code gate in a deck and brush off all the rest and just have that. If they then pull out Yog, great, they're 5 credits down, I'll override this. But if they don't pull out Yogg and they hit that, at least I can check to see if they're going to be getting an agenda next turn. If they are, it's going straight to the bottom of the R&D. I'll shuffle it back in. So now we're down, and now we're to the Honor and Profit reveal. So we just did the Fear and Loathing spoilers that came out. This is Honor and Profit. So Chairman Hero, runners' maximum hand size is reduced by 2. We've known about this one already, but I'm just going to cover it again because it was on the page. If Chairman Hero is trashed while being accessed, add him to the runner's score as an agenda worth 2 agenda points. Personally, not a big fan of this card because it's agenda points for the runner, but not for you. It's kind of the opposite of the new NBN agenda that's come, that we just looked at, that I can't again remember the name of. Thanks, late nights. I mean, it's cool. The runner's maximum hand size is reduced by 2. It's pretty good. 6 trash cost as well. So it's expensive to do, but you've got to make sure it's well protected because it's not doing you any good other than keeping the maximum hand size down. Very good if you're going to just be running lots and lots of traps, and we'll see some of those later. But okay, the first identity. Each player needs 1 fewer agenda point to win the game. Not a big fan. I don't know. I don't know a situation where I would personally use this one. Yeah, maybe. I mean, 40, 12 influence. Yeah, let's move on from that to 10 in. I love this card. Oh, so when your turn begins, you may place 1 advancement token on a card if the runner did not make a successful run during his or her last turn. I love this card. This is such a good card. A lot of people talking about traps and how you're going to be wasting money and advancement tokens on them. No longer free advancement token place. Of course, if you've got an agenda down, it's going on an agenda and you're going to advance it twice and get away. But with 0 credits, if you've got, the turn before, if you've got 0 credits because you've got 2 hanging on an agenda, somehow they don't manage to get through that turn, boom, scored. Or, a more likely scenario is you've got a 4 installed from before you've started your new turn. They haven't been able to get through. You advance that once immediately with 10 in, 3 more times. You've scored a 4-3 in a single turn. It's the same as having an Astro script on the side. It's fantastic. You do have to make sure they don't get through though. That's the only caveat, which is hard later on. And so Nisei Division, whenever you and the runner reveal secretly spent credits, you gain a credit. Now, secretly I like this. Secretly I do, because I love those cards that you have to secretly spend credits, and if they're different, you're not getting through today. They are just fun, and there are a ton of them in this. Well, they look like they're going to be a fair few of them in the Honor and Profit expansion, which I'm super psyched to try and incorporate in a fun kind of deck. So the first new agenda that we've seen from this is Philotic Entanglement. When you score it, you do 1 net damage for each agenda in the runner's score area. So that's pretty cool, except you can only have 1 per deck. Not fantastic. I'm not a big fan of having 1 of anything in my deck, unless it's literally just to boost your agenda that little bit extra. So it's not ideal. Diversified portfolio, gain 1 credit for each remote server with a card installed in it. That's not too bad. Generally speaking, that's going to be anywhere between 1 to 3 credits, unless you play big on installing, or you just have a lot of ice. Oh no, would that count with a remote card server with a card installed? No, it probably doesn't count with ice. I'll wait for someone cleverer than me to work that one out. I'm pretty sure it just means in a server as opposed to outside protecting the server. Now I've explained it. So here we go. The Future Perfect. This is the second agenda, which has got the Psi element, which is you and the runner secretly spend 0, 1, or 2. You reveal them. If you spend a different number, it can't get stolen. How fantastic is that? Especially if you play with the other identity that allows you to get 1 credit back you can always afford to spend, 1 credit on that big old 2. And if you're looking in the runners pile and they access this, they have 1 credit. Fuck it, you spend 2 credits. If they make another run, 2 credits again. It's great, and you can score it 2 turns. It's a 2-turn scorer. And if you're able to stop them with that, if they run with a lot of economy, then yeah, it's going to be a case of you've got a 1 in 3 chance. But it's better than them just accessing it straight off the bat. Here we go. Here's another one. This is an asset this time. If the runner exposes or accesses psychic field while installed, you and the runner secretly spend 0, 1, or 2. You reveal the spent credits, and if you've spent a different number, you do 1 net damage for each card in the runner's grip. So their grip is gone straight away. That's wicked, right? That's awesome, especially if you're running that with Neural EMP in your hand. They're and obviously it's Jinteki, so no one's going to run their last turn, but they're still going to have to boost back up to it. Fantastic! I love that card. That's really cool. And Cerebral Cast. So if you play it, if the runner made a successful run, you and the runner secretly spend 0, 1, or 2 again. Reveal them, and if you spent a different number, they choose to suffer 1 brain damage or take 1 tag. Now again, that's pretty cool. Especially if you're able to play that, they take the tag and you then scorch them, which they don't want. So in the majority of cases, I can see people taking brain damage from this card. So it's pretty cool, and we get back to the start, so that can go away now. Pretty cool, right? I think so. But then I'm a big Jinteki fanboy, and luckily we're playing Jinteki Day. I'm wearing a Skull t-shirt in tribute to Jinteki, as it were. So let's have a look at what decks we're going to be playing with today. As I switch the view across. Cool. Okay, so we're going to be running with Gabe in a criminal deck. So this deck started life when I was actually quite drunk the other week, and I was playing my friend Nerd Jonesy on Twitch. He's known as Nerd Jonesy. His real name's Andy, but that's fine. It came out while I was a bit drunk. I don't play a lot of criminal, as you can probably see from my deck. But I wanted to do something that made it. Initially, I used Andromeda, which was 9 cards, but she's since been replaced by Gabe, mainly because I'm scared to death of Sweeps Week. Sweeps Week at the start, if they get 8 credits for playing Sweeps Week. They get 2 Sweeps Weeks. They're minted and can lay down whatever ice they want, Heimdall's or whoever. So I switched over to Gabe, which, anytime you're going to run on HQ, you're going to get a credit. That's immediately going to be a little scary to them, so they're going to start protecting HQ, which is why we've got Keyhole. That's not Keyhole, there we go, there's Keyhole. To try and prevent, they're going to restrict access to HQ. Fine, we don't care, we're going in via Keyhole. How are we going to get Keyhole out? We've got 3 test runs, we'll be able to get it out using that. We've got Mr. Lee, we can see if we can pull it out that way. Then also, just to enhance Gabe's ability, we have Sneak Door Beta because it's a criminal deck with Gabe. Why wouldn't you play Sneak Door? Desperado. It was between Desperado and the other console that allows you to do a run after any other successful run. And I was going to use that in combination with Keyhole. But I like the idea of getting that money every time you do those runs. So if you're ever able to hit with Keyhole, at least you're getting some money back. And then what else have we got? We've got some money with Easy Mark, forged activation orders, just to cost them some money, infiltration, inside job, networking, sure gamble. The only kind of strange one maybe out of those would be infiltration, and that's more there for if I'm playing Jinteki, or if I need a quick, credit thing, or just because I'm interested to see what's in the server before I run it. It's just handy to have. And then resource-wise, we have daily cast. I thought about getting KT. I just didn't want to put it over the limit. Icebreaker-wise, we've got 2 auras, 3 fairies, 2 garottes, and a peacock for our code gates. And we've also got some Chrysanthus, because I quite like the idea of just de-resing a piece of ice once we break through it. It's just quite nice. So, decks-wise, what have we got? We've got a Jinteki one called Kill All the Things. So, corporations-wise, rather. So, we've got 9 agendas. Or 6 big hitters of 3s, priority and executive. And then Gila. Now, we'll be playing with 2 Jinteki decks, and I'll explain why in a bit. But so asset-wise, we've got Cerebral, Edge of World, pads to boost up some money, Project Junebugs, we've got Ronins, we've got Shocks, and we've got Snares. We've got some Beanstalks and Hedge Funds coming through them. Ice-wise, very low on the ice, because we don't mind them getting through, because a lot of the stuff they get through to is going to hurt them. So we're not too fussed about that. So we've got 3 Paper Walls, 3 Chums to boost that up, a Fenris, some Fenris and Neurokatanas, all damage-wise. So the reason we're playing with 2 decks is because, as you can see, this deck isn't fantastic. I've built this more as a fun deck to see how we kill people. The other deck that we're going to be playing with is the one that I took to the store championships and did fairly good with. So this one we've got Fetals, Gila, Ninsei, Priority Rec, and Unorthodox Predictions. Assets-wise, Cerebral Overwriter, Shock, Snare, Sundew. You know, your standard damage ones. Husaki Grid, Beanstalk, Royalties, Clearing Level Clearance, Hedge Fund, Neural EMP. Your standard stuff. Again, upgrades, and the upgrades of Husaki Grid along with Shock, Snare, and Sundew, just to cause that little bit of extra pain. Then Paperwall again, unsurprisingly. Code Gate, and a ton of sentries, and then we got a couple of traps. Cool. So we've had a quick glance over what we're going to be running with. I'm probably going to run more with netting you damage, just because I prefer that slightly. But for now, let's kick into some actual games. I'm going to go to the intro briefly.